Hello and welcome back to the CSUSB Advising Podcast for episode 68. My name is John Noriega and I'm an academic advisor at California State University, San Bernardino. On today's episode, we have the wonderful Veronica Martinelli, Senior Program Specialist from the College of Extended and Global Education, who will be talking to us today about winter intercession. Veronica, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for joining us today. I know throughout some of my advising appointments and meetings, questions about winter intercession have come up multiple times, and we would love to answer some of those common questions that students may have about winter intercession. I would love to get started with the first question. When do winter intercession classes start, and how long is the term?
Winter intercession begins December 22nd of 2023 and it ends January 17th of 2024. January 17th is your finals day, so the last day of instruction is January 16th.
Now, another question that has come up is, are winter intercession classes the same amount of units as classes in the fall or spring semesters?
So yes, so it's a regular semester class. You can take up to 4 units. Most classes are 3 units, but if you have a lab, you may have an extra unit. That's why we allowed four. But it's the same units. If it's a 3 unit class during fall and spring, it's a 3 unit class during winter intercession. The only difference is that you have 3 weeks to get a full semester completed. But it's also great because you have 3 weeks to get a full semester
Yeah,
class over. And students really like it because they're able to get that prereq. So
mm,
sometimes you need the prereq to get into your next class, but if you can take it during winter, then you're a semester ahead because you didn't have to wait until fall or spring to get into it. So
right.
students like to take that a lot for the prereq or to get ahead like that.
Yeah, it is a compacted session. So some students will think, well, if it is a 3 unit class, you're expected to be there for those 3 or 4 weeks of instruction. It's going to be compressed. There's going to be an accelerated course. But if it's only one class, you can do that in that winter break, right? And catch up with the prerequisites, stay on track with graduation.
Um,
I
I,
see it as a benefit.
I do recommend that if you are not doing well in your classes in fall or you are having difficulty, that you do not take winter intercession. It is
Yeah,
very fast paced. It's like I said, 3 weeks. And
yeah,
if you're having difficulty in a 15-week class, then you, I mean, we don't want to hurt the students. We don't
right,
want the students to, in any way, we don't want to set them up for failure. So
right.
if you're having difficulty during fall or spring, then winter intercession is probably not the best um, session for you to take.
Right. Yeah, and especially because of the limit, right? With the 4 units being the limit that you could take over the winter break. We don't want to overdo that because that could be a lot for 3 weeks of instruction, right?
Mhm.
But one other factor when we're thinking about classes is the financial aspect of that too. One question that's come up is financial aid available for the winter intercession?
So financial aid is not available. However, you can use any remaining financial aid from fall. So if you did not accept all of your fall financial aid, or you have some in the bank for some reason, you can use
Yeah.
that for your financial aid. And what happens is if you go in and accept any more fall financial aid, they will, the campus, the university will send the student a check or the money, and or could be direct deposit, and the student will then have to go and pay their tuition fees.
Right.
And
Right.
so, however, we do offer what's called a winter assistance discount and a graduation initiative discount. The winter assistance discount is we pay up to 50% of your tuition, and it is on a first come, first served basis, and there are limited funds available. And last year, you know, registration starts at 12:01 a.m. So
Yeah.
um, So it starts at 12:01 a.m. and we ran out of funds by 9:45 in the morning that same day. And
Wow.
what I do want to say is I'm not at work at 12:01 a.m. So there's and sometimes I'm not in control of registration, and if there's any mistakes that happen during that time or it doesn't open or whatever, I won't
Mhm.
know till like 8 o'clock in the morning. So the best thing is send me an email
Yeah.
because even though the winter assistance discount is by first come first serve and you may not be able, you tried to enroll but you couldn't, um, I do take the emails that I receive of anyone who's have any student who had an issue
Mhm.
where they couldn't register for some reason, not because you have a hold that you didn't take care of, but because
Right.
registration wasn't open or there was an error. I do take the timestamp from their email,
Okay.
and that's how I determine their registration because they were trying. And
Yeah.
so, but you must send me an email. Don't send me one at 10 o'clock in the morning and say, hey, I was. And
Right.
you need to send it right at that time because that's how I'm going to put you in order. So it is at a first come first serve. It is limited funding, and we we don't increase the funds.
Right. Yeah, so the timestamp is really important. I would say as soon as, students register for classes, any issue that comes up during that, again, it's the midnight time, right? We're not going to be checking emails, but that timestamp is important. Can we get the date again on when winter registration begins and that time again, Veronica?
So winter registration begins November 13th.
Okay.
And it is for all students. It is open enrollment, so the community, an Open University student can enroll. There's no priority registration, so seniors don't get priority over sophomores. It's just 12:01 it opens.
Yeah.
Um, and so, and then I didn't finish about the winter assistance discount and the
Sure.
graduation initiative discount. So
Sure.
the winter assistance discount, there are the eligibility requirements that are on our website. You can look at those, and you will know it will help you if you're eligible. Also, then the graduation initiative discount,
Yes.
that is only for students who are graduating in winter. So if you're not graduating in winter, you're not eligible. And uh, academic success and undergraduate advising will be reaching out to the students who are eligible to graduate. So there is not an application process for either of the discounts, but unless you're graduating in winter or think you can graduate in winter, you're not eligible for the winter graduation discount.
Yeah.
So if you have questions,
Yeah.
contact Asua and they'll help you on
Absolutely.
that one. And so the winter graduation discount, that is what I'm saying. That is just like the summer
Yeah.
gig graduation initiative grant, but
Yeah.
it's the same for summer, except you don't have to apply. It does pay 100% of your tuition. You
Mhm.
still can only take the 4 units, um, but it doesn't pay for books or if you have an extra class, like
Mhm.
a class fee of a lab of $30 or whatever. It only pays the tuition, but it's 100% of the tuition.
Correct. Yeah. And that will be for this winter tuition is what the winter graduation initiative would cover. We left out the word fees because the benefit of winter intercession is that there's no fees. Is that right?
That is correct. There are no
Right. So at least
mandatory campus fees. There
yeah.
are no non-resident fees. So
Yes.
international students, they don't have to worry about paying uh, the non-resident fee or anything like that. So
Gotcha.
it's a straight $320 per unit
Right.
for undergrad and $340 for post-bac.
Post-bac. Good to know the cost per unit. Now, thinking about for those folks who are planning to register as soon as possible and would like to be considered for the winter assistant discount, How soon would students be notified if they are eligible for the winter assistance discount?
So we do determine eligibility the week of November 20th,
Okay.
and then we will apply the discount. It's just automatically we apply it to your account. And so students who did receive it will see it on their account. And we do send out letters by the end of the following week because the week of November 20th is Thanksgiving. So we
Right.
have a very short period of time. We want to get it on the students' accounts so that they know, and that, if you see it, then you have it, and then we'll just notify you the following week.
Right, right. Definitely a reason to give thanks before the winter or the before the Thanksgiving break, right?
Right.
And Veronica, I'm thinking about those two who might not be eligible for the winter assistance discount or the winter graduation initiative. Because I know some questions come up. Are there payment plans available for the winter intercession?
No, there is not. It's too short of a session
Yeah.
for a payment plan.
Gotcha, gotcha. So it's all one lump sum paid
Mhm.
there by the deadline. Now, we touched a little bit about this earlier, but if a student is new, let's say they're an incoming spring 2024 student, because we're getting some new transfer students, right? And they probably want to get a head start. They want to go ahead and start this winter intercession. Which department should they contact if they're not, again, right now matriculated as a student? They're an incoming transfer. Who should they contact if they're interested in going in registering for a winter intercession class?
So those students, anyone who is not matriculated, would take Open University.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So again, they don't admit anyone to the winter. So normally, like I know in summer you can do it, but what they do in summer is they admit you for summer, but we don't admit anyone in winter. So you
Right.
would need to go through Open University.
Open University, wonderful. So yeah, for any of those that are new students, definitely a great chance to get a head start on taking one class over the winter. And Veronica, this is wonderful information. Again, thank you for this. If there are any other questions after today's podcast, is there a contact email that students can reach out in case they have any follow-up questions?
So they can go to our website, which is csusb.edu/winter intercession, all one word.
Yep.
Or they can email us at winterintercession, all one word, at csusb.edu, or they can call us at 909-537-3978.
Awesome.
There's,
Thank
there's
you.
also flyers around. You'll see us tabling outside. So there's flyers that have all of the contact information, and we're also there to assist with any questions.
Yeah, your team is doing a wonderful job on advertising that, placing that everywhere on campus with your contact information. So I truly appreciate that. I appreciate your time too on today's episode and can't wait to feature this information to all of our students. But Veronica, thank you so much for being on our podcast today. And until next time.
May I add one more thing? I am getting questions from students at the tabling sessions about they're confused on the fees and how they apply because summer they had to pay the full amount if they only took three. Um, where I just want to reiterate that this is per unit. It's
Right.
not a flat fee. It's per unit. So if you take 2 units, it's 320 per unit.
Mhm.
For and three, then it's just 320 per unit or 340 per unit. And so some students have been questioning that. So I just wanted to make that clear. But thank you
Very,
very much for
of
having me.
course.
I appreciate you helping me get the word out. And it's great that the students aren't confused. We want to make sure that everything's as clear as possible for them.
Absolutely. No, and thank you so much, Veronica. I think after today, all of the questions that we've kind of provided and more, of course, that your team will be happy to answer. I feel like we've been able to clarify some of those doubts and concerns on our episode today. So again, thank you so much for being on our podcast today, and until next time.
Thank you very much.